You're tuned in to Ask the Master Auto Technician. Car questions? Get answers right now. Call 850-763-0555.
James Auto Center, we fix it right, guaranteed. Beep, 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 yeah.
Hey, good morning. This is James Morris, and I believe we got Hanson from Baytown Tires. He called 763-0555. He's one of our sponsors. And since Jay said none of the Napa Auto Care stores were open today on Saturday morning, aren't you a Napa Auto Care Center, Hanson?
I was, but I am not currently.
Oh, I apologize. But anyway, you're open this morning.
Yes, I am.
At least I can say that in case someone has a car breakdown this morning and they're traveling into Bay County and they're going, where can I get my car looked at? Well, they can go by and visit Baytown Tires at the corner. Well, it's right there on the curve in St. Andrews, right before you get to it.
We are here with smiles on.
Yes, bells on your fingers and rings on your toes. It's a pretty awesome sight to see that. But anyway, what's going on over at Baytown Tires this morning? Anything particular?
No, I mean, we are actually working on a lot of people's cars that are from out of town.
I can't imagine why.
Little breakdowns. Well, unfortunately, they didn't do some of the maintenance before they left, or they didn't check their tires. So,
what seems to be the biggest thing you're seeing as far as breakdowns? Is it overheating, or is it a tire problem, or what?
a lot. One is overheating. You know, we've had some where the water pump unfortunately started to leak by the time they got here, but also a lot of tire problems because they have a blowout or other issues that they should have attended to, before they made a long trip.
Now,
not to make them feel bad,
right.
But sometimes, in the hurry of things, you're going out of town or going on vacation, the car is the last thing you think about, which is unfortunate if you have a tire that's starting to separate and you're between Panama City and Atlanta.
Yes. Now, speaking of tires, that's exactly what I'm talking about. I'm seeing a lot of people coming in with tires that are right around 6 years old, and I look at 5, 6 years old, and I look at them, they got lots of tread, lots of rubber on them, a little cracking on a little dry rot on it. And I said, there's a problem here with your tires. And they go, well, it's got plenty of rubber on it. I said, yeah, but the age, this tire is 5 years old or older, and it really is unsafe, in my opinion. And it's unsafe, if I want to say, in the automotive tire industry. Don't they say that tires more than 5 years old are unsafe to be on the road?
Well, they won't warranty a tire beyond 6 years, no matter how many miles are on the tire itself. Now, I'm totally with you. I think after 5 or 6 years, you should definitely change the tire out. But it's hard to convince a lot of people with a lot of tread on there.
But you see a lot of tires that separate. I saw a tire yesterday.
Tons.
I see it all the time. The tire only had 30,000 miles on it. It was an LT tire on a truck. It only had 30,000 miles. And the problem was the tire tread, it was made about 6 years ago. And it had a big old bubble in it. And the guy said, I can't believe this tire needs to be changed. And I said, well, not only do you need to change that tire, you need to change the other three, which are the same age.
Well, and that's what happens. And they'll change one tire, and then, of course, the other three will start doing the same thing.
Now, what causes tire separation? That's the thing that everyone asked me. What causes it? And I said, well, maybe they went... I said things lift and separate, kind of like a Playtex bra, and I really don't know how that happens.
Heat is really the biggest thing.
Is that what does it?
Yes. I mean, you have metal and rubber, and they expand and contract
at different rates.
Different rates, just like in an engine. And over time, they expand and contract at hundreds of thousands of times when you're driving it over a 5-year period.
Right.
So it just... The pieces and parts of the tire internally just start to come apart. And especially, like I said, heat. And not only is it already 100 degrees outside, but the road is probably a couple of 100 degrees, and then you got brake components heating up. So you have probably 400 or 500 degrees sometimes at the wheel.
And that's very, very important. So tires have heat make the tires come apart because they get older and they've done it so much. Even if a tire doesn't have a lot of miles on it, it's just sitting still in a warehouse.
Well, and we talk about air inflation all the time as well. And the more air that is in the tire, the better off you are. There's more heat dispersed with that air in the tire. You run a tire low by only a couple of pounds, it increases, the average heat of that particular tire by 20 or 30 degrees, which is a lot.
And okay, now here's something right here. Everyone has the little placard on the side door that says what your tires are supposed to hold. But you and I both know that if we put what that placard says in it, the tires show evidence of being underinflated. They run hotter, they wear on the inside and outside edge, they don't wear evenly, and the customers actually complain about a sloppy feel. It doesn't seem to handle as well, but it rides soft. And what I've suggested, and I want to ask your opinion, if the tire says 44 maximum air pressure or 51, what should the air pressure be? Should we pay attention to what the side of the tire says, or should we say what's on the placard? Or
Well, never go below what it says on the placard in the door for sure.
Never go below what says the placard.
Right.
Okay.
And my opinion is just as your opinion. I usually try to find a sweet spot between what it says on the placard and what the maximum inflation is on the tire.
Okay.
Usually about halfway in between.
So if it says 44 on the tire and says 35 on the placard, you would probably put it around...
I would almost between 38 and 40 would be mine.
And the reason you said 38 is because if you put a Cadillac up to 40, that tire light comes on.
See, exactly. Now you hit on a point that's true. If it's off, even on the high spot, sometimes 2 or 3 pounds, it'll set the light off.
Sure will.
So you got to really hit that sweet spot for, especially like you said, Cadillac, Mercedes is very precise too.
Right.
Within a pound or two.
You can get up to about 38, 39, and after that, man, the light's going to come on. The customer's going to be upset with you, but the tires wear better and they handle better. And they seem to run cooler. I've taken tires that were running at 35 pounds pressure and drove them down the highway, and for about 15, 20 minutes came back and shot the temperature with an infrared gun, and there'd be a certain temperature. Then I'd go put an extra 5 pounds of air, bump them up to 40, and I'd come back and they'd be 10 to 15 degrees cooler.
Yeah. And well, I think eventually what they'll do is, as they do in some of the truck tires, is they put a chip inside the tire that will actually record the temperature, the hottest temperature of the tire under inflation or any of those parameters, so then you can just scan that particular tire and you can figure out if that tire, how old it is and everything.
Kind of like an RFD chip.
Right. Now they do that on commercial tires, and if the tire has been so many hours in service and all that is recorded, and if it's been run hot or anything like that, they take it out of service because it's unsafe.
Okay, well now good. I'm glad we're talking about tires because a lot of people ask me questions all the time about tires, about why. And the other question I'm getting is about plugging versus patching. And I tell them, I said, believe it or not, I have people come in here all the time. They got a nail in the tire. Just put a plug in it. I look at it and said, I'm not allowed to do that. And they go, what? I've always had plugs put in. I said, I'm not allowed to put a plug in it unless I take the tire off the rim. And could you expound on isn't there a law that says I could be held liable?
Absolutely. You should never just plug the tire on the car. The tire has to be taken off and inspected inside. Because the tire could look fine on the outside, but the sidewall, of course, has been run flat and it's completely torn up. You put air back in the tire and fix it, and you go a few miles down the road, the tire will blow out.
We saw that this week. We actually had a car come in here. The customer was adamant he just wanted to have a just have a plug put in it. I said, well, let me tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to pull the tire apart and I'm going to look at it. And I pulled the tire apart, and if we had done that, that car would have exploded because it had been run on the rim.
Absolutely.
It damaged the side of it, and they were shocked. They did not realize they had done that kind of damage to the tire.
It takes about 2 seconds, realistically.
It doesn't take long at all to run one low and to do damage to the sidewall.
Well, and we really have to make the customer aware as well, or people in general, that where the puncture is in the tire is really important too on how safely it can be fixed.
And now they make a combination plug and patch, do they not?
That's what we like to use, because if you leave a hole when you just patch the tire and there's still a hole in there, water or moisture gets into the steel belts over time and actually, again, makes them expand.
Correct.
And then the tire separates as well.
So a plug with a patch as a backing on it just to make sure the tires last longer, stay safer, and won't separate so easily.
And if you have an expensive tire, you want to make sure that you do a decent repair as well.
And speaking of expensive tires, what's one of the low-profile tires, run-flat tires? Do y'all see a lot of those coming in? I know they're expensive.
Well, they're expensive, and yes, Bentley uses them. Mini Cooper uses them. On some of the Mercedes, there's no spare.
There's no spare, correct. My wife's Crossfire, no spare.
So, well, that's a Mercedes.
That's a Mercedes, no spare.
And people go like, I looked and looked for the spare tire, and I couldn't find one.
You're not going to. Corvette doesn't have one.
Right. There's no room.
Where are you going to put one? You can't. They give you cans of Fix-A-Flat. That's what they've done for.
Exactly. And some of them give you a green slime to shoot in there.
Yeah, and now green slime, we got a couple minutes left. Can that be left in a tire? Because I had someone the other day says he puts green slime in his tires when they're brand new.
The manufacturer of the green slime will say, yes, you can leave it in there.
What do you say?
The tire manufacturer will say no.
All right, that's what I was thinking.
So, and from what usually happens, and hopefully, green slime is better, but the old Fix-A-Flat products are petroleum-based.
And they'll eat them right up.
They'll eat it up.
All right, we got to go. Give Hanson a call at 873. What is your phone number, Hanson?
873-8900.
All right, we'll be right back in a minute.
Have a great week.
All right, bye-bye now.
James Auto Center, we fix it right, guaranteed. Beep, 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 yeah.